This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, guys. Today, let's start with a concept called interface. Okay, it is one of the extremely important concept according to my perception. So anything and everything which is developed in Java, for example, it can be API, J2E applications, Spring Hibernate applications, web services application, or it can be mobile applications. Most of the things or most of the applications which are developed using Java, they extremely use interface. So according to me, it is more important compared to collection framework. Okay, because in collection framework also we use this concept called interface. So concentrate properly. So in between, if you have any questions, you can ask me over the chat window. Okay, if you're not able to express your questions by typing, you can unmute and ask me the questions. Okay, so let's start with the concept. There are different meanings for interface. Okay, most of the textbooks which I have seen and most of the videos that I have watched, they largely talk about only one context of interface or one meaning of interface. So there are three meanings for interface. So let us understand in detail, and this is going to be a little lengthy session. Okay, it's not like I can complete it in half an hour, 45 minutes. So this concept probably will go for long duration. Okay. So, and a very big concept. So in between, you may have a lot of questions also. So my suggestion is that you watch this video completely. You take the classes completely. At the end, you start asking the questions. Okay. So okay, welcome. Let's officially start. So as like I was telling, there are three meanings of interface. So there are three meanings of interface. Okay, what are the three meanings of this interface? The first one, we call an interface as an intermediate. Okay, this is the first meaning, right? The second meaning, it's called as rules repository. The third meaning of interface, it's called coding contract. All right, so these are all the three meanings of an interface. All are extremely important in its own way. This is super important, right? And this is also super important, and this also very important, especially when you talk about APIs. So these are all the two things which we use extremely. Okay, that is, one is rules repository and coding contract. Okay, let us see all these things one by one. I definitely need a long time to teach you this, right? But we are going to understand it one after the other. The first thing, an intermediate. It's a simple English meaning, right? Intermediate is something which is in between two entities, right? So, for example, I have system one here and system two here, right? Between these two systems, if I write something as an intermediate, so that is called as an interface. All right, so I have system one and I have system two. In between, anything that I do have, it's called interface. Let's understand it in a different ways with some literally, some real world examples. Think about it. Think about it, okay? So I'm going to write it in this way. For example, you have you are the one system, like you, it's you. Now you want to access a computer. You want to access a computer or a CPU. You want to access the CPU, okay? If this is you and this is going to be the CPU, okay? In simple, I call it as a computer, okay? This is your computer or CPU, whatever you call. So in between, this is system two, okay? So this is system one and this is system two. In between this, probably you use something called, mouse. So you're going to use a mouse. Are you clear? So this mouse, we try to visualize this. Okay, when I explain, try to visualize this. This mouse works like an intermediate between the system 1 and the system 2. In between this works as an interface. Okay, so this intermediate is considered as what? Interface. So interface is an intermediate between two systems. Hopefully things are clear. Now if you closely consider these two systems, I'm going to introduce you to a new word. Okay, two systems is considered as, one system is considered as the consumer or the user. The system 2, so-called system 2, is considered as the service. These terminologies, don't forget, okay? Very important terminologies or technical jargons, okay? One system is considered as a consumer, the other system is called as a service. So what do you mean by this consumer and what do you mean by the service? It's pretty simple. Let's try to understand it non-technically, okay? As a layman, if you understand, service is something, right? Something or someone who is going to give the service. Okay, a system which gives the service to you. All right. Which example I can give? Fine. Bank. Okay, bank gives the service to consumer. Imagine the bank without the consumers, without the customers. Bank cannot do anything without the customers, correct? So bank is considered as a service industry. So bank gives you the services. They give you loan service, they give you deposit services, they give you some financial services, they give you locker, they give you locker rooms and other. These are all considered as the services. Okay, so any object, okay, I mean, still if I simplify it in still if I simplify it, okay, what example I can give? Okay, think about it. Any object you consider, please mute. Whenever you consider any object, okay, the object may have behaviors, correct? The object has got the behaviors, especially any behavior which is meant for others. I'll repeat, in an object we have many behaviors. So any behavior which is meant for others, such behavior, so any behavior which is meant for others, such behavior is considered as service. Example, let's imagine a doctor is there. Okay, doctor has many behavior. Doctor sleep, doctor eat, doctor go for jog, right? These are all the behaviors, but it is not meant for others. Doctor eat for himself, doctor eat for himself, right? Doctor jog for himself, but it is not for others. But doctor has also another important behavior called treating the patients, diagnosing the patients, writing the prescription or giving the prescription, prescribing the medicine. So these are also the behaviors. These behaviors are meant for others. Doctor diagnose the patient, right? It is for others. So here the patient is considered as the consumer and the doctor is called as the service provider. So doctor is an object who provides the services to the patients. So here patient is considered as a consumer or the user and the doctor is considered as the service provider. So doctor is an object who provides the services, hence it is called service provider. Mr. Nagan Gowda Patil, can you please turn off your webcam? Nagana Gowda Patil, can you turn off your web camera? What you want to show yourself to everyone? Hmm? So this video is getting recorded. Are you clear? So and once it is recorded, we are going to upload this on our server. So make sure you never show off your face and other things. Okay, please mute your microphone and turn off your webcam. This is the simple protocol which I've been asking you to follow from past 2 weeks. Still, you guys have not, not implementing it. So please follow the discipline. So second thing, another example I'll give you to understand the consumer and the service. Okay. Let's say there is a projector. The projector is projecting some content, right? The projector projecting the content or displaying the content is a behavior, and this behavior, it is projecting not for itself, it projects for others so that students, teachers can consume it. Okay, so students and teachers are the consumers, and the projector is an object which provides the services. So a service is nothing but a behavior which is meant to be consumed by others. It's that simple. Okay, so last one more example. A teacher is there. The teacher has got some behaviors. Okay, a teacher sleep. I sleep for myself. I being a teacher, I sleep for myself. I don't sleep for others. Okay, I eat for myself. So eat and sleep is not considered as a service because it's my own personal behavior, but I also teach. So teaching is behavior, but I teach for others. So you guys, that is students, you guys are the consumers, and I'm the service provider who provides the service called teaching. I hope now you understood, right? Service means something which is meant for others. Consumers are those entities who consume this service, right? So these two terminologies are important. So now you consider an example of a computer or a CPU. Okay, it's called as a service provider. In simple, it's an object who provides the service. What are the services given by computer? Computer is mainly used for computations, right? I'll repeat, computer is mainly used for computations. You can perform any computations. You can perform mathematical computations. You can use it to play the game. You can use it to listen the music. You can use it to watch the movie. You can use it to install some applications, and that applications can be used in your business or day-to-day activity, correct? So these are all the services provided by the computer, and you are the consumer of this computer. So you are one system called as a consumer, and the computer is considered as another, the system, right? Between a computer's service and between you as the consumer, we use an intermediate, and that intermediate is considered as an interface. So that's why we conclude that an interface is an intermediate between the consumer and the service. All right. Let me take one more example. Here, let's imagine there is a fan, okay? There's a fan. I know it's not very good, but somehow please adjust with this, okay? This is the fan. The fan is considered as one service, okay? And let's say one is you. This is you. Okay, this is you. You are the consumer, and there is a fan. All right. So you want to use this fan. So how will you want to use this fan? Sometimes to use this fan, firstly, you need a switch. What do you need? You need a switch. You need a switch. So this switch, first switch on and switch off, right? The moment you switch on, not enough. You may also need something called a regulator, right? So in the regulator, you will find different speeds, right? Like this, you find different speeds in the regulator. So this switch is considered as an intermediate between the consumer called you and the service called the fan, right? Similarly, the regulator is also considered as an intermediate between these two. Such intermediate, very clear? Such intermediate is considered as what? Is considered as interface. This is considered as an interface. So an interface is an intermediate between two entities, two systems. One system is called as consumer, right? And the other system is called service provider. In simple, we call it as service. So this is the real actual meaning of interface. Okay, anyhow, at the end of not today's session, tomorrow's session, I'll give you the questions and answers which are going to be asked in the interview related to this topic. Okay. Hmm? So we haven't started learning about what is the technical meaning of interface. We just learned about only the realistic or real world meaning of interface. Now, still story is not yet over. Okay. Now you consider this, you consider this switch. If you consider this switch, which is an interface, okay, please observe this. Don't be distracted. Please observe. This is your switch. In this switch, basically there are only two actions. I'll repeat, in this switch, there are two actions that you can perform. What are the two actions that you can perform on the switch? The first one, you can switch it on, right? This is called switch on. Switch on. The second action, that is switch off. So you can perform a second action that is called switch off. Okay, so now we just realistically understood what is the meaning of an interface, but programmatically we haven't started learning about what is the meaning of an interface. Okay, so now I was telling that interface is an intermediate between service and the consumer, and I have given certain example. Just consider an example of switch. Switch is an interface, correct? Now carefully observe. When I explain, you need to visualize this. Okay, try to visualize this. There is a new house which is newly constructed. Okay, a new house, and in this house electrical work is done. Okay, the electrician has laid out all the electrical cables, wires, everything, and they have also fixed the switches, all right, and the plug points, everything. But imagine this interface alone, that is a switch, and this switch is not connected to the fan. Independent one switch is there. Okay, try to understand it. So there is no fan, only switch is there. Okay, now in this switch, when you perform an action called switch on and switch off, do you think something happens now? Please answer in the chat window. Do you think something is going to happen? No, definitely no. Why? Because it's not connected to the fan. So it means to say an interface alone, this is extremely important point, an interface alone without the service is useless. I'll repeat, an interface alone without the service is absolutely useless. If you want a service to work, then if you want an interface to work, it has to be connected to the service. This is the first and foremost and super important thing. All right, I'll repeat, an interface alone is literally useless, right? I'll write it here. Interface alone is useless. Or rather than saying interface alone, interface without the service. Okay, an interface without the service is literally useless. So when it really sense, when you have an interface, sorry, when you have an interface plus this service, then only it really makes sense. Literally, this is what it is useful. Are you clear? So this is useless. Remember, it is just like this. Okay, I give you only switch, but I'll not give you fan. It is useless. Or I'll give you only the regulator interface, but I'll not give you the fan. What would you do with the regulator? Correct? Useless. Similarly, I give you, let's say, a mouse without the CPU. What would you do with this only mouse? It is literally useless, right? So a mouse with the CPU really makes sense, but mouse alone does not make sense. Is it clear? Please ping me in the chat window. Is it clear for you guys? Good. Super good. Thank you. Now let's move on. Again, try to visualize now. Try to visualize. I have only an interface without the service, that is without the object. For example, I have the switch and there is no fan there. You can perform an action called switch on and switch off, but there will not be any reaction. Understood now? There will not be any reaction. What do you call such action as, or such element? There is only action without the reaction. What do you call it as? Only action without the reaction. Anyone? Any idea? Yes, abstract method. Perfectly correct. Super. Perfectly correct. Okay. A method means a behavior or a work. Work means two things, action and reaction. This is what I taught you long back, if you remember, right? Work means a behavior. A behavior means a method. Any work or behavior has two things. One is called as an action, another one is called as a reaction, correct? Action is considered as method declaration. The reaction is considered as method definition or implementation or logic, right? Only action means, only action means only method declaration. Are you clear? Only action means only method declaration. Hey, Priya, Satya, nonsense. Keep your microphone muted or just log out of the session. Don't you have common sense? It's really irritating, okay? Sorry. I was in a flow, so you guys really distracted me. So only action without the reaction means abstract method. I'll write it here. So I'm going to write a method now, switch on. Let's say I'm going to perform something called switch on. So switch on is an action, okay? But there is no reaction. So when I write a method with only action means such method is considered as what type of method? Of course, this method is considered as abstract method. So I have to write by using the keyword called abstract. So this is an abstract method called switch on. Similarly, I'm going to write one more abstract method. I'm going to write one more abstract method called switch off. Okay, guys, it's really irritating. I'm cutting the call. Okay, thank you.